as a speaker, I can speak with an authority on women around the world. But let me tell you, Africa's got a rhythm that's nowhere else to be found. Come on, give us Africa's got a rhythm. If you see, let's just get the right PowerPoint up here. There is something about Africa that you just don't find anywhere else in the world. Doesn't matter whether I'm in India, Indonesia, United States. It doesn't matter. There is something about Africa that is just awesome. Let us just get to the... Oh, come on, Africa! Come on! Yeah, that's who we are. We're Africa. Let's give a hand to Africa. And the women of Africa. Especially South Africa. This is where I'm born, and this is where I know, and this is home for me. Let me tell you, when you've been around the world like I am, and I've been, then this is home. There is nothing as beautiful when you get back from any other country and you walk into customs at any airport in South Africa, whether Cape Town or Oliver Tambo, and you see that beautiful black face and that white teeth, and you know, I'm home. So ladies, don't you think it's time that we make a real difference, seeing that we are a prominent nation of the world? Yeah. Oh, you don't sound very excited about that. Come on, let's get to it. You see, in the end, each of us needs to take responsibility for ourselves, right? You need to take responsibility. Tell the person next to you, hey, you are responsible for yourself. Now, I want you all to turn to the screen, to that side. I'd like you to enjoy the PowerPoint with me. Now, people waiting for the perfect opportunity is right there on the screen. So if you are waiting for the perfect opportunity, then ladies, that's what you're going to end up looking like. Gentlemen, if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, opportunity is something you create yourself. Oh, Magda, I can't do that. Yes, you can. God has done all He had to do by giving you what you have. You've been speaking about being unique and all of that this morning, and He's given you brain capacity. Now do this. Everybody do this. You hear that sound in there? That's your brain. Most of us have not used it more than 3%. Okay, so it's time that we rise up. Now there was this old karaoke who told the story to his grandson, and he said the following. He said, you know, there are two battles about in the mind of every human being. There are two wolves inside of each of us, and they are fighting. One is evil, it's anger, it's envy, it's jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, and all those weird things. The other is good, joy, peace, love, read with me, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, and all those wonderful things. And then this little grandson looked at his father, his grandfather, and he said, so Granny, now I'm also a grandmother, I have 2 grandchildren, so I know how they think. And he looks at his grandpa and he said, Grandpa, now who won? Who do you think won? Which wolf won?
The good one.
You think it's the good one?
Yes.
Well, in actual essence, the one who wins is the one you feed.
Ouch.
Ouch. The one who's going to win is the one you feed. If you want to feed hate and jealousy and all those bad things, that wolf is really going to win. But if you start feeding inside of you the good one, one of our previous speakers spoke about, it's got to start with you, right? Start feeding the wolf that is good, that is kind. The one you feed. I'm from SheNet Global, and we're an international businesswomen and ministry network, and the only reason I'm mentioning that is that there are opportunities that you don't even know about, because Isn't it time that we can just get over that now? We've got organizations like the Potter's House helping you getting there, but it's time that you say, you know, I had enough of mediocre. I don't want to be a doll of mediocrity. I want to be someone that makes a difference. Right? We're all over the world, currently in 54 countries, empowering women, getting them into understand their capacity and to make a difference in global economics. So unfortunately, I'm not going to tell you how beautiful you are today. However, I am going to tell you that the global economical market needs you. The global economical market needs South African Christian women to rise up in business. And this is your opportunity. But as long as you're going to back off with all these elements of I cannot, I'm not good enough, we can't win the world for Christ. Come on. Because we don't own the oil. But we have access to those who determine time frames. We have access to the God of God that is not limited in a box. You know, when we travel, those of you who are used to travel, you travel time zones. When I travel from here to Hawaii or those places, my day is just 24 hours longer. Because time just keeps on moving back. I leave Cape Town at 9 o'clock in the morning. 2 days after, it's still 9 o'clock in the morning. So God is not a God of time, and He hasn't put us in a place where we should be limited. But you are setting the boundaries with your own mindset. We want to reach every woman in Africa and the countries in the world. Why? It is important for Christian women to be informed of their position and their identity in the global platform of church, Christianity, and economy. To understand the importance of why it is important that we should now reach beyond the boundaries that we've set for ourselves in our own communities. Your community can make a difference. Africa has been through so much. We've experienced so much. We've got something to say. Talk to the person next to you and say, you've got something to say. I've been on pulpits around the world. I've met with very influential people, and I look at that and I come back to South Africa and I'm wondering what is wrong with our people. What is happening in this country that our people don't rise up? We can. We have everything. Rise up. It is important for every Christian woman and man to understand that you've got to be empowered in economics. How many of you are watching soapies when you actually should have watched World Economies on CNN? But you're crying your eyes out about that man who's leaving his wife in the soapy, and oh boy, it reminds you of your ordeal with your man, and blah, 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 blah. Our men, you should watch CNN. Fox News, you've got to know what's going on in the world. Yeah. Africa is positioned to rise, but the people of Africa is not rising. Yes. I'm sorry to say, it's okay if you never invite me again. I will tell you what God told me to tell you. Yes. I said that in a church in Ostruma in Louisiana and Baton Rouge, and they invited me back again and again and again. Because when God speaks to you, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot walk out that door today be the same person. Yes. I'm sorry. You can never be the same person after today. Amen. Empowered in both theory and resources, and be able to manage both for an effective time of mentoring. Africa is supposed to mentor other countries, especially South Africa. You are supposed to mentor other countries by now on all the issues. This is a group of women in Thailand last year, 2012, went back to their countries going to make a difference. You can see here, all tribes, tongue and nations, even I'm wearing a sari saying it's okay. It's okay to be different. Yes. It's okay to just be different. outside the box. Growth is thinking no box. What do you want to do in a box? Or outside a box? There is no box. Russia, women from Russia. And there's a reason why I'm showing you these. Africa, look at the dance. They're not just standing there, Africa. You know, this was the only group in that session when I said, please come up with something unique when you do your presentation. Africa came up with something unique. They all have the same dresses. I don't know where they bought that in Thailand, but they got it from somewhere. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is, it's time to rise and go beyond your boundaries. The boundaries and the limitations we've spoken about this morning. Your conditioning of I'm not good or I'm het is bietjie agtergebly. Yes, that is true. But not anymore. It's time to rise up. It's time to grab a hold of the opportunity right in front of us. How do we do that? Big and strong. You have to find someone that's bigger and stronger than you. And hang on. Hang on. Somebody said this morning, stay away from negative people. You're right. Get somebody. There are so many our ladies here. Our elderly lady who opened in prayer this morning. And there are some other. I saw ek het 'n tannetjie hier gesien met so 'n jassietjie. Waar is die tannie? Hier iewers is 'n tannie met so 'n jas. I know she's got a lot of stories to tell, man. We've got people that's strong and powerful in our midst, and we are still not getting out there. Tribes and cultures. This is a culture way up in the mountains in Chiang Mai in Thailand. They never got out their little village. They still believe that you have to have this thing around your neck, and it's okay. It's their culture. It puts certain limitations on their belief systems, which you don't have to have. You can take off those limits today. You can make that decision. I want you to make a decision today and say, I'm not going to be the same person. Finish and klaar, soos ons sê in Suid-Afrika. Finito, klaar. I don't want to be like that anymore. I found this picture in the magazine, Finances en Techniek, Finances and Techniques. That's the type of things you should start reading, ladies and gentlemen. You want to put Africa in a world market? You think it's only for a few people? What's wrong with you? Why can it not be you? Why can your small business not become a big exporting business? Supporting your own ministry, you don't have to go to the United States. You know, please have some US dollars. You know, 6 times more than what we have. Oh boy, they can learn from Africa, man. They do. Every time I go to the United States with another story of yet another person who has made it back in Africa, it's just like, wow. You can speak so many languages. It's very quiet in this house. Now I am a pastor, I know when it gets quiet in the house there's trouble. It's time for you to rise up. This little picture identifies with a small guy on a little bicycle. He's pulling an elephant, right? And what are the two of them pulling? The globe, the apple. Can you see that on the picture? The two small guys are running world economy and they're pulling everybody on the nose. Do you know that recession is a manipulated perspective? When the world goes down, you go up. You ask why. God's favor, obviously. However, hier is die tannie wat ek gesoek het met die jas, sy het net haar jas uitgetrek. Now, globalization, you know, way back when I went abroad to all these countries, I would buy my kids gifts. At some point, they said, Mom, please stop because we buy this at the waterfront in Cape Town, where we live. I flew from Cape Town just to be with you today. Thank you for my family that's here with me as well. Let me tell you, Africa, you've got something to give. You know, we take groups of women to Thailand and we take them to the factories and do some training. create a platform for business to sustain you, your family, your church, your ministry. It is possible. It is happening. It is really happening. We see that day by day. To summarize, the small guy on a bicycle might have access to the oil riches. And he is giving a lift to the guy on the elephant, which might be his friend. And they are trying to tell us here in the world that there is a recession going. It is true, it has an effect. However, when we begin to rise up and do what God has called us to do, stop being jealous about your sister. You are spending so much time around what she's doing and achieving, you are totally forgetting about yourself. Why would you put energy? Pray for her, let her go, let her be a success. Now you become your own success. Stop wasting your energy and your time on other people and what they do. It's called a time and a vision thief. Come on, Sarah. Look at all these currencies. And I only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to finish shortly. The dollar, oil, silver, gold, the yen, the rupee, the krona, those are all currencies. Before I go there. There are money around the world, and people are working with money. South Africans, you've got the rand in your hand. What are you doing with what you have in your hand? You want to run after those? If you've got 10 rand, make it a 20 before you spend the 10. Then you will always have 10. That's where you start. You don't start by having a 4x4 and a big glamorous home. That is good if God blesses you with that. I am happy with you and for you. We should all have those. But as a point of departure, I need you to understand that God is saying to you today, take what you have in your hand and start. Because you can. Because you can. This picture and the next picture are people who has done us in as a family. We invested 3.5 million rands into a development which we worked very hard for, selling properties. He stole all our money and he went to jail. What we wanted to do is we wanted to build a training center for Africa, for businesswomen. That was 5-6 years ago. So this guy went to jail and we lost all the millions. Now, why is that important? Why should I even mention that? To lose 3.5 million or to lose 3 rand 50 is the same thing. We need to begin to walk in integrity. We need to begin to walk in the light of God with the money we have in our hands. Ladies, we like to buy clothes, right? It can become a prison for you, okay? My dad always said, he was a pastor for many years, and he said, you know what, you can just wear one at a time and get in one car and sit on one chair, sleep in one bed, and have one house at a time. It's time that we move the paradigm, that we begin to make a paradigm shift of what can I do with what I have right now. Yes, have your goals. A woman dresses smartly, no doubt. Even if you go into the room and outside the room. I'm talking from a point of experience. That's my friend Dorothy Kasaka. She's an advocate of the High Court in Kenya. We travel sometimes to places. That picture was taken in Singapore. Now, it's not about the picture. It's a reality that I'm trying to explain to you. She is working with placing children in orphanages around the world. And the major trend of our conversation always is, why should African children be orphans in other countries? Where we have all the wealth in the world to create a country where we could all have a decent life and serve God and oneself, because in the end that's what we're supposed to do. I'm going to finish shortly. I want us to quickly look at the concept of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a loan word from the French. Now, this is what it means. Read it with me. It's a person who undertakes and operates a new enterprise or venture and assumes accountability for the inherent risks. You have an idea? We had a series of talks on Radio Pulpit a while ago. Every second Monday I flew down to Pretoria and we would talk over Radio Pulpit to women and say, you know what, it's all about responsibility. Now we don't have time here, but if I should ask you what is responsibility, you would probably tell me, look, I'm responsible for my children. Yes, you are. I'm responsible for my water and lights. Yes, you are. I'm responsible for my accounts. Yes, you are. However, that is not responsibility. Those are laws you need to abide by. Not only by God, but by society. Then what is responsibility? It is the ability to respond appropriately to anything that might happen to you in your life. Responsibility. But you know what? The focus is so much on response that we never get to ability. And that is where the focus should be. I want you all to make a decision today and say, God, I want to work on my ability to overcome, my ability to respond when good and bad things happen to me. The day I was told that this man stole all the money and the project cannot go on, I didn't see 3.5 million walking out the door. It was a destruction of our entire, something we worked for many, many years. I had two choices, live or die. Be a success or be a failure. Now that is a huge failure, let me tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, failure is part of life. Get over it, you're going to fail. Small and big. So it's okay. Do you know that Jesus failed at some time to carry the cross? He had some help. But he got to that cross. You know what? He didn't stay there. We all have to pass the cross, don't we? But why are you staying there? Why are you staying and remaining in the brokenness? Rise up with him. He's inviting you. But come on, man. Reign with me. And I'm going to finish. This is the age of the entrepreneur. I'm going to run through the last few slides. Anything and anyone can reach and achieve things. Today you can do things faster and more quickly than any time in history. The world is what we choose to make of it, ladies and gentlemen. You have a purpose and mission. You have a commitment to action. You are here now, you need to get there, right? How? Look at your current context, where you are. What do you have? Do you have 5 rand? Do you have 1 box of second-hand clothing? Can you talk? What are your talents? What are your strengths? That's your current context. How are you going to get there where you need to be? And I'm really pushing 25 sessions into 20 minutes. It's impossible. I can't do that. But I want you to understand that you've got to move on from the reality situation today towards the vision. You can't just stay where you are. And how are you going to do that? Begin to plan, begin to organize, begin to look at resources, begin to look at the ability equipment. And there's a lot of things that is inclusive, visioning, strategizing, decision making, prioritizing. Those are sessions on their own. We don't have the time to cover either of those. Who do you talk to? Who are you going to communicate to? The business model of saying, why do we exist? That gives out a purpose. Just look on the slide there. I'm going to run through this because my time is up. Why do we exist? You've got to ask yourself the question, why do I exist? That's going to give you your purpose. The way we do things, those are our philosophies. How will I be positioning myself? Where in the market will I fit? Who's going to help me to achieve my goals? Who's my partners? What drives my performance? Those are the processes. Who are the people that I'm going to work with? What do I offer and why am I unique? questions, and at some other time we will work through it. How will I do that? Your decision today is only the first step. Simba, chips, and Omarasks started in an outside room of a residence. Somebody started baking little cookies. Develop your case study, be nosy, try and get to know what goes on the outside of the world. If you don't make a difference, you don't matter. There where you are, make a difference. What is stopping you? This is my grandson. It looks like this guy has got excessive stress, right? Stop the stressing. Stress is always the breakdown of an inner image, which is ultimately the image of God, which Satan likes to break down. And remember, he will use those closest to you. That's my granddaughter. She looks very bored, right? Stop being bored. Start getting actively involved in things like the Potter's House. In business, start getting involved. Get out of your comfort zone. Stop self-critique. I'm just the donkey. Get on me and ride me. No. It's time to rise up. Get away from envy and jealousy. Get away from the anxiety you have of your current situation. Get away from all the excuses, but I have a whole sermon on that. It's time for you to think big and make a difference. May God bless you today as you
Another round of applause.